Hey guys, this is Rudy coming at you from Palm Beach in Florida. Today I want to talk a little bit about Pfizer. For those of you who've been following my channel, you will know that very recently I actually exited my Pfizer position. I hadn't intended to necessarily exit Pfizer. The position for me in Pfizer was very profitable. I was sitting on a nice paper gain. I plugged in a 10% trailing stop, and I had imagined that Pfizer would not pull back 10%. 10% is quite a chunk of money for a $200 billion company because that would mean a loss on paper of almost $20 billion. So I had not anticipated Pfizer pulling back 10% at all. And in addition to that, of course, most of you will know that Pfizer is one of the companies that is launching or has launched since I first looked at them a vaccine for COVID-19. So if anything, I expected Pfizer to spike, another 10, 15%, and not pull back. But we're going to talk a little bit about Pfizer in just a while, and then maybe what you can do is help me decide whether Pfizer is a stock that you would want to get back into or not. So that's what we're going to chat about in this video.
This is what you came for. This is what you came for. I'm over. This is what you came for. I'm over. This is weird. She said, I'm ready. So come and get me. I'm over here. I'm over here.
So guys, let's talk a little bit about Pfizer. The best way to look at the stock or pretty much any stock is at least to take a quick dive into their last quarter that they reported. And for Pfizer, this was their third quarter 2020 presentation from just a few weeks ago. Today is December the 23rd, so it's a couple of months later. As I mentioned in the intro, I had imagined that Pfizer would spike after launching the COVID-19 vaccine. In fact, the opposite is true. They've made a few rookie errors here. One of them was the fact that the CEO, Albert Bourla, publicly stated on CNBC TV that he would not take the vaccine because he doesn't want to jump the line. That's kind of like really a stupid thing to say, because at the end of the day, when you represent Pfizer and you are the CEO, and you have millions and millions of doses of COVID-19 vaccine available to you, the correct thing to do would be to say, yes, I was one of the first people to take the vaccine. And in addition to that, I've ensured that every single employee at Pfizer has already been vaccinated. That would have been a good thing to say. Instead, what he did was the opposite and said he didn't want to jump the line. That makes no sense whatsoever. The fact that more than half of people surveyed in a variety of different surveys don't trust the vaccine and say that it's not going to work or they won't take it for whatever the reason might be. And I know some people say this is just the Trumpers or whatever. This is not true. I mean, this is a global thing. The COVID-19 pandemic, whether you believe the media hype or not, or the fear mongering or not, the fact of the matter is it's a global pandemic. So whether you like Donald Trump or not is completely irrelevant unless you happen to be in the United States. So I don't really pay too much attention to that or give too much credence to the fact that, this is sort of an anti-vax, lobby of Trump supporters or something like that. That's just garbage. The fact of the matter is Pfizer has not done a very good job at convincing people or informing people to make sure that people think that this virus is safe. But let's sort of ignore the COVID-19 issue for just a second and look at Pfizer, the company. I'm going to go through these slides relatively quickly because there are quite a few of them, and I don't want to take too much time as I work to educate us about Pfizer, the company. A quick snapshot here. I've already mentioned that it's a $200 billion market cap company. Since it hit its high of around $43, it's pulled back to about $37. So it's way off that 10% mark that I referenced at the opening when I said I sold it via trailing stop. The PE ratio currently at around 25 is a little bit too rich for me, so it's not something that I would look to really jump back into right now. The price earnings ratio is just a little on the high side for me. I like the dividend of 4%. So there are some things that are attractive to me about Pfizer, and there are things that are maybe less attractive. But that's the snapshot. You can see it's almost 70% held by institutions, and only 1% is short. Once again, you don't want to be short Pfizer. The fact that it pulled back 10, 15% or whatever is an anomaly, probably related to the COVID-19 vaccine. But Bondu, if you want to call it that, or whatever the word is, boondoggle. They probably could have done a better job. But let's look at Pfizer, the company, rather than Pfizer, the COVID-19 vaccine company. A couple of drugs here, so I've circled 3 of them: Ibrance, Eliquis, and Prevnar. And please forgive me if I screw up medical terms. I have no medical training, and some of these words are just as foreign to me as what they are for you. But just a quick look at these 3 drugs. So Ibrance is a cancer medicine used to treat men and women who have HR positive, HER2 negative breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body. Prevnar, by the way, I'm reading my notes in case you're wondering what I'm looking at when I'm not looking at you. Prevnar 13 is a vaccine, another vaccine, but this one is for the prevention of pneumococcal pneumonia. And Eliquis, or Eliqua, I'm not sure how to say it, reduces the risk of stroke and blood clots in people who have irregular heartbeats, which is also referred to commonly as atrial fibrillation. What is interesting to me as a Pfizer investor, now an ex-Pfizer investor, but I'll probably jump back in again in the near future, is that just these 3 drugs alone generate approximately $4 billion in revenue for Pfizer every quarter. There's reference to Upjohn's performance in 2020. So interesting to note there that the China revenues were up 21% for the quarter. Comparatively, they only make reference to one drug, Celebrex, in Japan, which was up 62%. So I'm assuming that revenue in China at 21% is far greater than Celebrex in Japan at 62%. But Upjohn, a division of Pfizer, has a variety of different drugs that generate an enormous amount of revenue. Some updates on COVID-19. They've, at the time they published their 3rd quarter results, they said approximately 150 clinical trials had happened in 6 different countries with about 42,000 participants. And they will apply for EUA in the United States soon after the safety milestone. 2 months of safety data on half of the participants following the final dose is achieved. Now, we know that they've already done that. And in fact, some people have already been for their stab of the first round of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. I'm hoping that that those people who received the vaccine are all happy and doing well, and I suppose not getting COVID-19. I'd be amazed if they're still walking around wearing masks and gloves and washing their hands and all that kind of stuff after they've had the vaccine. But who knows how all this stuff works. And as I said once before in a previous video, I can't really talk too much about COVID-19 because I am not a politician. They have some other drugs in the pipeline that are interesting for rare diseases and oncology. And at the bottom of the screen, it says here, reaffirm projected revenue, compounded annual growth rate of at least 6% for new Pfizer through 2025, which is quite impressive. Other pipeline updates includes inflammation and immunology drugs and another vaccine, in this instance for Lyme disease. By the way, it seems completely politically correct and appropriate to refer to Lyme disease, but it's not politically correct to refer to COVID-19 as China disease, because we can only mention some diseases in terms of their origin and not others. But as I mentioned just a minute ago, I don't understand all this kind of stuff because I am not a politician. If we look at the quarterly income highlights, and I've circled a few things in red here, which are really interesting to me about Pfizer, the total company revenue is up $12.1 billion, 4% less operating profit. The biopharma revenue was up 10.2. I do apologize, I just misspoke here. The total company revenue was down $12.1 billion. The biopharma revenue was up $10.2 billion. So at a glance, it's nice that some divisions are receiving enjoying an uptick in revenue, but the total company revenue quarter over quarter is down significantly over the same quarter last year. Upjohn revenue down almost $2 billion. Adjusted expenses, $2.86 million. Diluted EPS down significantly, reported a negative 71% and adjusted negative 3%. Foreign exchange impacts also impacted their reporting for the last quarter, which was Q3 of 2020. Some key assumptions here continue to include only at-risk spending on COVID vaccine candidate, but does not include any potential revenue that can be received. I think the revenue uptick could be phenomenal for Pfizer as more and more governments across the world purchase their COVID-19 vaccine, especially after a few million people have already taken the first dose, and perhaps the threat or the feeling of risk dissipates somewhat for the rest of the population, including perhaps yours truly. We expect a gradual recovery in healthcare activity for the remainder of the year. I think everybody expects a gradual recovery in business as usual. And by now, if you call me Mr. Oxy, you would know that I also expect a gradual recovery in the price of oil. They talk a little bit about the Upjohn transaction. I'm not going to go into that one in any detail. We look at the revenues, 48.8 billion, and then adjusted income or other income, approximately $1 billion of other income, and adjusted diluted EPS, $2.88 to $2.93, which is their guidance for the rest of 2020 to the end of the year as they close out the year. Their financial guidance for the new Pfizer and Upjohn is no change. So if you look at all the different parameters that they report on, revenue, adjusted margins, diluted EPS, cash flow, etc., no change, no change, no change. Everything is the same as what they said before, which is quite impressive considering that the world is crashing and potentially ending because of COVID-19. Nice to see no change. In fact, for me, that is a positive. Some key takeaways: they had a solid quarter in Q3. I wouldn't expect them to say anything different. They reaffirmed all their 2020 financial guidance. It's almost the end of the year. It looks like they're going to come in with the numbers as they had provided guidance for earlier in this year, because they haven't made any changes. They have some key product and pipeline milestones that I just discussed a few minutes ago. And at the bottom here, it says they paid $6.3 billion in dividends to shareholders in the first 9 months of 2020, which is a steady clip of approximately $2 billion per quarter. So they are going to pay between $8.5 and $9 billion for the full fiscal year 2020. That is Pfizer in a nutshell. So guys, I'm not sure if you are interested in healthcare or pharma as a component of your portfolio. Maybe you have positions in other drug manufacturers, especially large cap whales like Pfizer in your portfolio. If you do, I'd be interested to learn what they are and perhaps what your investment thesis is for investing in that particular company. For me, I have been a long-time investor in Pfizer. I held it for long. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, I had not intended to exit the position at all because I had not anticipated a 10% pullback. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I do appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And I do this work for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. On that happy note, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments to find out whether Pfizer is something we should be investing in or not, or otherwise, if you have a better choice of investment in the healthcare pharma sector, that would be great too. So this is Rudy for Bester Investor saying goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.